Ladies and gentlemen, I'm with Les Binet. He is the most definitive, or should I say most effective voice in the world of effectiveness. So, I mean, as you all know, that effectiveness is today possibly the biggest conversation that's going around in the world, because every single marketing dollar that is being spent, people are asking this question, investors are asking this question, CEOs are asking this question on what is the effective use of that dollar, and Les has a huge body of work around that area. So today we'll try and talk about some of the basic principles and tenets that he has been observing and seeing from working across multiple brands in multiple countries, in multiple geographies. So
yes.
let's thank you for all your time.
Thank you very much. I mean, I work for adam&eveDDB, which is the London office of the DDB network, and my rather fanciful title is Group Head of Effectiveness. So I basically I do three things. I help advertisers to measure the effectiveness of their advertising and marketing communications, and then I try and identify what the ingredients of effective work are, and then I try and use all that to help them improve their effectiveness. And when I talk about effectiveness, I mean effectiveness in hard business terms, you know, dollars, basically, what drives revenue and profit. And I kind of do that on a day-to-day basis, but I also, I have the freedom to do some, if you like, kind of semi-academic work on behalf of the advertising industry as a whole. So together with my colleague, Peter Field, I've built up quite a body of knowledge. And I suspect that's probably what you're going to tap into today.
Absolutely, Les. This is precisely what we are planning to tap into today, so that audience in our market, and maybe since on our platform, it would be possibly across the globe, get a sense of what are the tenets of effectiveness and what are the learnings that you have over the period of time. No discussion today is complete unless we talk about generative AI, right? So about generative AI, which is
yeah.
If you don't talk about it, then nobody will listen to the interview. So starting from there, to coming back to the idea of AI or machine learning. So what do you think has changed or will change in the world of brand building with the introduction of large language models like ChatGPT, or even with the idea of AI? And will it create better marketeers, or will it create poorer marketeers?
Okay, well, I don't know, but I have some thoughts. So the first thing to say is I often come across as being, I don't know, not exactly a Luddite, but skeptical about technology, because I say things like I've just said for the last hour. But actually, I am a big fan of technology. I'm a child of the 1960s, a child of the space race. I fell in love with technology in the early 60s with the US Gemini space program and then the Apollo program. My first dream was to become an astronaut. They broke it to me gently that little blokes like me don't generally become astronauts, particularly if they're scared of heights. So then I wanted to become a physicist, and I was a physicist. And then after I worked in physics for a while, I then worked in AI in the early 80s. So I was actually at the cutting edge of AI, I guess that's 40 years ago. But I think when you're a scientist, when you understand how technology works, when you're a true tech fan, you get a good nose for what is and isn't transformative technology. So, do you remember WAP, Wireless Application Protocol?
Absolutely.
Yeah, many people don't. But when WAP was first being touted, and I think this is in the late 1990s, it was going to be the big thing that transformed marketing technology. And I was very unpopular in the agency for standing up and saying, I don't think this technology will fly because it's not there yet. It doesn't work well enough. And they were sort of going, oh, come on, get with the program, Les. You know, you're old man. And in fact, that was a failure, and it didn't take off. And the only reason that people are not feeling like they've got egg on their faces about it is that it's all been forgotten. Conversely, SMS is a technology that nobody made a fuss about. When the first digital phones took off, came out, SMS was a footnote at the very back of the paper manual. Nobody in marketing got excited about it.
It was created for the coders to communicate among themselves.
That's right, absolutely, yeah. It was
I know a little bit of that because, like a good Indian boy, I also know coding. I went to a place called the IIT, you know, like so we also did AI coding way back in early 90s and late 80s.
Brilliant. So yeah, well, I mean, I think they used it so that the engineers could test phone lines and all that sort of thing, but nobody tried to sell it. But the thing is, ordinary people saw that and went, this is brilliant. You know, my wife and I, Christmas 1999, I think it was, both got our first digital phones. We read the manual like people did in those days, saw this thing and went, oh, look, we can send each other little messages. And within, you know, days, we were texting each other regularly. And that's how it took off. It was a technology that was right, and it took off organically. So, preamble. When Zuckerberg started talking about the metaverse, and everyone started talking about the metaverse, my reaction to that was bullshit. You know, this is Second Life in another form. In fact, there are still more people on Second Life than there are in the metaverse. Yeah, it's a busted flush. But when I heard about ChatGPT, I knew it was going to work. And one of the things that told me was I was beginning of March, I was in a taxi coming back from the airport, and the taxi driver was telling me how he'd used ChatGPT to write a Valentine's Day poem for his wife. And I thought, fuck, if my cabbie is ahead of me on the AI curve, this is going to be big. And I now use it. I use it already, and it's great. Chatters, as I call it, is my new best friend. My wife has got to the point where she's banned me from talking about it because she's bored. But it's great, and I've also been experimenting with Midjourney, and that's quite fun as well. And these tools all look amazing. So it will be transformative. I don't think we can predict exactly how it's going to change things, but immediately it feels to me like it's just one of those tools that allows you to do things faster, to do things that you already do, but do them quicker. And that then frees up time to use our brains to do things we're good at. So I write quite slowly. So the other day I had to write something very quickly in prose form, and I was able to sketch out the structure of what I wanted to write, but rather than spending a day crafting the actual prose, I was able to do it in seconds with ChatGPT. And for that particular use, that didn't matter. It wouldn't have been the prose that I would have used for writing a book or writing an article or something, but for that particular job that I had to do, it did the job very well. And then it freed me up to think about more important things. And I've been playing with Midjourney, and I can't draw, I can't paint, I'm not a very good photographer, but Midjourney allows me to turn ideas I have in my head into visuals very, very quickly, which means I can do things that I was never able to do before. So what does this mean for the advertising business? I think what it does is it will increase efficiency in some areas. It will free up human brains to do things that humans are good at, and it will allow more ideas to come from more places, you know, and it will raise the bar. It means that all of us in all of our jobs now have to do better than AI. So I think it could lead to better work. You could get a first pass of an advertising strategy by talking to ChatGPT, and then you go, okay, that's the base level. Now we have to do better than that, because anyone can do that. Anyone with ChatGPT can do that. We have to be cleverer than that. You can get a first pass of a visual with AI, and you go, okay, well, that's a rough version that takes us to first base, but we have to do better than that. So I think it raises the bar on everything, not just in advertising, but in many other jobs. What that will do to society, I do not know. But one thing, I mean, I think it could have a democratizing effect in that ideas can come from more places, and therefore we could get more good ideas. But maybe I'm being over optimistic. It's also possible that it might just be that there'll be a bunch of people who will say, well, we can use this to fire a lot of people and produce shit ads.
No, but
who knows?
Going by your first level of analysis, it looks like, if at all, it will produce better brand builders, because the kind of bar will be set at a slightly higher level, which is our past learning, because a large language model will be based on past learning. So if we are already doing better than the past, so which means we can only become better. Yeah,
I mean, I just thought of an analogy with like CGI in films. You know, it's kind of, CGI means that it's just kind of like, that's the norm, if you like. So when you look at the credits on a big blockbuster movie these days, are they shorter or longer than they used to be? That technology, all that CGI technology, it doesn't appear to me that it's resulting in film crews being smaller or production companies being smaller. There's so many people, you know, listed on the film credits these days. So it doesn't look like it's destroying loads and loads and loads of jobs. But what it is doing is, you know, if you're making something like a science fiction movie, the bar for what the special effects should look like is way higher than it was before 1968, say. And we just come to expect that. You know, nobody could get away with ropey special effects anymore. And in fact, they don't even surprise us so much anymore. It's become, actually, I think, quite hard to get a really strong emotional response from the audience with special effects, because they're just, yeah, well, that's the base level.